welcome to a sunny Northwood Stadium here in Stoke. It's the final of the GRE Cup. Now that's the final of the 1989 season of club competition in this country. Well, back in May, over 300 clubs took part, and they've whittled them down now to 8 clubs in the men competing for the Gold Cup, and another 8 in the women's competition competing for the Jubilee Cup. Well, as you well know, in the last 2 weeks, the glamorous side of our sport has received its fair amount of attention. But for me, here today at Stoke, this is what British athletics is all about. Most of the club athletes here have got the chance to compete against some of the big names in our sport, and they're doing it for their clubs just for points. And at the end of the day, there really isn't a brown envelope inside. Some of the top names in action today: John Regis, world indoor 200-metre champion; the versatile Kim Haggar, up against the world junior champion Fiona May in the long jump; high hurdler Tony Jarrett; Stuart Faulkner looking for maximum points in the long jump; Marcus Adam, who's burst upon the sprint scene this year; Sally Gunnell keeping busy in 4 events; and high jumper Dalton Grant popular as ever. A check on the men's teams: Belgrave Harriers looking to improve on last year's placing; Birchfield, newly crowned league champions, going for the double; Blackheath, the oldest club taking part, but they've never won the cup; Enfield from League Division 3, the new boys in their first ever final; Haringey, cup holders and favourite again this year. They've dominated the competition in the 80s. Sale Harriers, carrying the flag for the north of England. Thames Valley, the 4th club from London in the final. They've never done better than runners-up. Wolverhampton and Bilston, they've been in every final and won it 5 times. And one of Wolverhampton's best hopes for maximum points is Max Robertson in the 400 metres hurdles. Let's join commentators Peter Matthews and, first of all, Alan Parry.
Thank you, Steve. And Max Robertson, the reigning Commonwealth silver medalist, drawn in lane 1 here, and he's got some stiff competition. Steve Hawkins was runner-up to Robertson in the United Kingdom Championships earlier this season. He's in lane 4, running for his club Enfield. Nearest the camera there, the splendidly named Prince Stanislaus of Thames Valley Harriers. And away first time. Robertson very much the favourite here on paper, but he's had a knee injury, Max Robertson, hence that heavy bandage on his left leg. He's torn some fibres in his knee, and he says that he won't be running again this season after today's GRE final. He's got off to a good start here. Hawkins in lane 4 in the red vest, also running strongly, and Lynch, the Haringey athlete, the 21-year-old, who has only recently taken up this event, also well placed there, second from the right. Robertson looking with a commanding lead, though, here as he comes into the home straight. But this could be where he has problems. There's never any doubt about his technique or his speed, but his strength sometimes, when he's got an injury problem like this, can let him down. And as he came off that final hurdle, he's under real pressure here from Hawkins, and Hawkins takes him right on the line. Robertson second, Lynch was third. The winning time, 51.24, and Max Robertson will be disappointed to have lost out literally on the line to Steve Hawkins.
Very fine run indeed from Hawkins, who's coming a long way from far back here, but also so too is Lynch. Lynch, however, hits this final hurdle very hard, and Hawkins, despite his head-rolling style, really finishes very determinedly indeed, and it's a magnificent scalp there in taking Robertson. First field event of the day is the hammer. Here's Stuart Rogerson of Sale Harriers, led in the first round, 62 metres 56, and we pick up the action in the second round. His main rival is Shane Peacock of Birchfield. He had a no-throw. So Rogerson leads from Gareth Cook of Thames Valley and Sean Pickering of Haringey. Rogerson was a good third in the UK Championships, but a disappointing 8th in the 3As when he was expected to be one of the men contending for a Commonwealth Games place. So he'll be determined here to have a good battle with Peacock, who was third Englishman in those championships. And that's a good throw for Rogerson, over 65 metres. So again, a man of personal best, just over 70 metres, which is the hallmark of the beginning of international class for British competitors. And a first throw of 65.72, so increases his lead as Shane Peacock in the third round, 2 no throws to his credit so far. Shane, who's been in very fine form indeed this year, 3 times improved his personal best. Throwing here in the black of Birchfield Harriers, and obviously they'll be looking to him for very good points. Haringey's Sean Pickering back in 4th or 3rd place at the moment. That's better. He still falls away a bit. Thrown over 70 metres this year, but that looks good, and that looks as if it's going to challenge Rogerson. Going to compete in the World Student Games for Britain. And Peacock here, yes indeed, he just takes the lead in the competition ahead of Stuart Rogerson, 65 metres 96.
So they reach the bell in the men's 10,000 metres. In the lead here, Paul Evans of Belgrave. Just behind him, Paul Larkins of Wolverhampton and Bilston. And these two have shared the workload out in front for most of this race. Just caught sight in the background there in those bright green shorts of Steve Harris of Haringey, who's in 3rd place at the moment. It's been a long, hard slog, really, in these very hot and indeed windy conditions. And Paul Larkins, the man who's had a very good season over 1,500 metres, the journalist with Athletics Weekly magazine, just beginning to see a little bit of a gap developing as Paul Evans, the Southern champion of the last 2 years, begins to pull away from him. Larkins not really an experienced 10,000 metre runner. Indeed, he's only really run a handful of them, and one on his debut in May in a big race in Helsinki. And as Evans knows that the man with the 1,500 metre speed is nearing him, Steve Harris, who's in 3rd place, steps aside to stand back, as it were, to watch this finish. And Paul Larkins predictably have the sprint to win it. Larkins first, Evans second. A very good finish then by Paul Larkins. Evans takes 2nd place, and Harris, although some way back, will be 3rd.
Some expert attention for Steve Harris, having finished 3rd in the 10,000. He's going to do the 5,000 as well. Well, Steve, I've heard of people like Linford Christie doubling up with the 100 and the 200, but don't you think that, running the 10,000 and the 5,000 in one day for your club's, almost insanity, really, isn't it?
Well, they've often said I'm a bit crazy in the club, but the idea is, to get as many points as the club can, and after sort of meeting with the team manager, it was decided that we could probably maximise our points if I actually did both events and sort of maybe got a 3rd and a 4th or 2/3, something like that.
So you already run 25 laps, you've got a 3-hour gap, and then you're going to run another 12 and a half. How do you think you're going to do in the 5?
Well, after that 10,000, I could be struggling. No, I hope, I can get sort of in the top 4.
So, you don't, with club competition, you don't put any emphasis on really coming in the first 3. It's just purely for the points.
That's right, yeah.
And you think that, Haringey will do well today?
I think so, yeah. I think we've got a very good winning chance today.
So at the end of the day, then, you've run 40 laps of a track, almost 10 miles on your own just for the club. That's quite some club support, really, isn't it?
Well, the club give me a lot of support, in terms of training and things like that. So, I'm just paying them back.
And we'll see how Steve fares later on. Meanwhile, here's a look at the women's teams competing in the Jubilee Cup. Birchfield, 14 appearances, no wins yet. Bromley ladies, by contrast, are in their first final. Cardiff in their 3rd, but missing some of their best athletes today. Derby looking for maximum points from Fiona May in the long jump. Essex ladies lost by 1 point last year. They've won the cup on the previous 4 occasions. Hounslow, their last cup victory was 6 years ago. Sale Harriers, like Birchfield, they have teams in both the men's and women's competitions. And Stretford the holders, they've won the Jubilee Cup a record 7 times. And the girl that has made Stretford virtually untouchable in the sprints is Paula Dunn. Here's Alan Parry again.
Yes, it would certainly be a major upset here if Paula Dunn in lane 6 was not to win this race. Jennifer Stout and Fiona May, 2 unusual names for this event. Jennifer Stout, better known for running 200 and 400 metres, and Fiona May, as you've heard, our top woman long jumper of the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how they go against the sprint specialists. Number 4, Fiona May, just 19, with a personal best of 11.88 wind assisted over 100 metres. Well, a very good start there by Carmen Smart, the Welsh girl of Cardiff, all in blue, and she leads Dunn at the moment. Dunn's got some work to do here. Wendy Hoyt going well on the inside in lane 1, but Dunn comes through, and Dunn takes it. Smart second, very, very close then for 3rd place between Jenny Stout and Wendy Hoyt on the inside. Well, Carmen Smart really threw the gauntlet down there over the first 20 metres, Peter.
Certainly did. Very diminutive, of course. She almost makes Paula Dunn look tall, but Paula Dunn maintaining her ascendancy in British sprinting here, and a very fine result indeed. Carmen Smart second. Jennifer Stout coming through for third place for Essex Ladies. Those long strides, just pipping Wendy Hoyt. Meanwhile, the women's shot. Here's Myrtle Orgy of Bromley Ladies, out on her own in the competition. Early lead at 16 metres 49, and some 3.5 metres to spare over the next placed Sharon Andrews of Essex. The winning put there, 17 metres 21. Much closer, though, was the men's discus, with many of Britain's top throwers in action. Peter Gordon, 54 metres 34, the early lead. That was to Simon Williams of Enfield, Peter Gordon of Wolverhampton. Another very good throw, well beyond 50 metres. Peter Gordon now 38, 3 times UK champion. He was back in 6th in the 3As, and one of the men ahead of him was Graham Savoury, the 28-year-old from Blackheath Harriers, this year's UK champion. Back in 3rd place at 54 metres 20 before this, the 3rd round. And a very fine throw indeed by Savoury, the only man in the field, apart from Gordon, to have thrown over 60 at his best, 54.46. So that moves him up into 2nd place. Behind Gordon, and here's Simon Williams, who led in the 1st round with 54.34. Simon, who clearly won the shot for Enfield earlier, when all his 6 puts were better than the runner-up, Sean Pickering of Haringey, and that 54.36 moves him to 3rd in the discus.
Next on track, the women's 400 metres hurdles. Sally Gunnell, the UK record holder, not competing for Essex Ladies in this event, but they're very fortunate. They've got a very good second string here in Wendy Kearns, drawn in lane 6. Lorraine Hanson of Birchfield, the runner-up in the United Kingdom Championship, in lane 3. Kearns, the blonde figure in lane 6, all in black, was an outstanding youngster and then went through a few fallow years, but she's back to good form again this year. And hasn't, in fact, lost to another British athlete this year, and she really has made a good start there. Wendy Kearns, 3rd from the left. Going well on the inside, the tall Birchfield Harrier Lorraine Hanson, who has also made our Commonwealth Games English team for the games in Auckland next January. And those two dominating the leading positions at the moment, with Kearns still in front. Extreme left of the picture, Wendy Kearns of Essex Ladies. Won the United Kingdom Championships way back in 1981. And on the team again, but under pressure here from Lorraine Hanson on the inside, and the taller, longer striding Hanson just about in front over the final hurdle, and Hanson doggedly fighting all the way to the line, and she makes it. Kearns got 2nd, then on a long way back to Lynn Parry of Derby Ladies in 3rd. Good finish by Lorraine Hanson, and a well-deserved victory.
Time, though, a little bit slow there, 58.36. That's well below what both these ladies are capable of. But there is a very strong swirling wind which upsets their stride patterns. Coming to the final hurdle, it looks as if Wendy Kearns had got the race won, and she appears to be sprinting, while Hanson does not. But it's those long strides of Hanson which take her to victory.
So, important points for Birchfield there, thanks to Lorraine Hanson. Join us for more Cup final action after the break.
Welcome back to Stoke for our coverage of the GRE Cup final and the next race, the men's 100 metres. And a good competitive lineup it is too. Lincoln Asquith, probably the best known name amongst this field. Former British #1 a few years ago, although he hasn't really reproduced that form in the intervening period. Asquith drawn here in lane 7, finished 5th in the 3As Championships after a nasty accident when his car broke down and he got scalded by hot water from the radiator. And obviously that didn't help his performance that day. But Asquith fully recovered now and off to a very good start there as well. But this is close. Braithwaite in the green shorts going well there in lane 3. And next to him, Curtin. And coming very fast on this side is Lenny Paul. What a finish that was. Asquith got the victory, I'm sure of that. But the places behind him were very closely contested, with Braithwaite just in 2nd place behind the winner Lincoln Asquith. And then mighty close for 3rd.
It's the little figure of David Curtin in lane 4 for Thames Valley, probably got away quickest, but Asquith already well into his running in lane 7. Karen Braithwaite, very tall, takes a little bit longer to get into his running, and then look at Lenny Paul, and he just comes up to pip Curtin for 3rd place.
Well, that'll help to console Lincoln Asquith for his 3A's disappointment.
Over in the long jump, here's John Shepherd of Enfield Harriers. Enfield, who got off to a really good start in this competition. John led in the first round at 7.25. Here he goes in the second, and that's a better jump as well. John Shepherd, for some years a British representative, hasn't taken part in the major championships. Was always a useful competitor. Season's best of 7.58, and he gets quite close to that to increase his lead with this jump of 7.47. So fine points there, maybe on the way for Enfield, but John Shepherd, like all the other long jumpers, will have to look out for Stuart Faulkner. Just there is number 5, Dave Burgess of Haringey. So here now is Faulkner. 2 no jumps though to start with. Here he goes in the third round. Oh, and he still gets it wrong. This swirling wind proving to be a problem for the jumpers. Stuart Faulkner, 3rd place in the European Cup, and of course a very fine English native record at 8.13 recently. That's a settle for 5.42. Well, that would only be worth 1 point so far. Meanwhile, though, the high jump class of the competition, Claire Summerfield, who's won the event, the only one left in at 1.81 m. And there she goes. So that's maximum points. Very valuable points indeed for Birchfield Harriers. Let's look again at Claire Summerfield, 3 times English schools champion, now age 24, and pretty consistent at 180 or more.
The lineup for the men's 800 metres. Sebastian Coe, a regular for Haringey in the British League and has run for them in this cup final before, but he's involved in the International Grand Prix circuit at the moment. David Strang, therefore, runs for Haringey this time, but a very good quality field here. Tony Morell, who's made it in the Commonwealth Games lineup for England in 1500 metres. Chris McGeorge, John Gladwin, the reigning Commonwealth silver medalist. Some good quality athletes here, and that should produce a good race. Remember the point scoring system, 9 points for the winner, 7 points for second, and then right down to 1 point. So every place absolutely vital. In a day that the athletes and everybody involved, from officials to spectators to families, always get thoroughly involved in. GRE Cup final day, one of the highlights of the club calendar. Well, the man wearing the Sebco Haringey colours, David Strang, who was a 3A's finalist this year. First to show as they break from lanes. Number 6, Darrell Taylor in the green vest of Sailor Harriers, moving into second place. And then John Gladwin, who's missed, what, something like 18 months, almost 2 years through illness. Really struggling to regain his fitness at the moment, the former United Kingdom champion in 4th place there. Just behind number 2, Nick Pearson of Birchfield Harriers. And quite a pace being set here by David Strang. He's ignored the rest of the field, and it's hell or broke here for him. And he reaches the bell in a very reasonable time in these conditions.
It certainly is, because it's very windy indeed, and he's trying to run away from a field which contains many international athletes. But Tony Morell now has got him in his sights, and behind him too, Gladwin and McGeorge, plenty of experience there.
Tony Morell, somewhat of a controversial choice, forgotten of course in the great debate about Seb Coe's victory in the 3A's championships and Steve Ovette's subsequent story. Matt Barnes moving through to 3rd here. Morell, number 8, who will go to Auckland, right on the shoulder of David Strang now. Matt Barnes, the Enfield Harrier, the junior international, running very well still there, number 4, moving into 3rd, but Morell hits the home straight with the lead, and I don't think he'll relinquish it. Strang inevitably is tiring, and Barnes has come through to take second place for Enfield ahead of him, but an impressive, well-judged race by Tony Morell. The man who's only moved up to 1,500 metres this year clinches victory for Wolverhampton and Bilston. That's good points for them. A disappointing season for Wolves, who've been relegated from the highest division of the British League, Peter.
Yes, Morell would have been the favourite here, but I was very pleased indeed to see the run of Matt Barnes. An absolute delight to his coach Ken Leader and the rest of the Enfield team, because he's got some very big names behind him here. Chris McGeorge, rather disappointingly, only back in 6th place. John Gladwin, without quite that little age, in 4th place. And David Strang, good points for Haringey in 3rd.
Well, believe it or not, this motley crew here is probably some of the best middle distance runners we've got in Great Britain. You've just competed the Commonwealth Trials and you've had mixed results. Tony qualified, obviously, and the rest of us as we know, didn't do too well, did we? But you're here competing for your clubs now. Now, is there a difference in competing for your clubs, Tony?
Yeah, obviously in the trials it's a case of more of an individual effort, whereas at the weekend, like, your club members are depending on you as well, because it's important to them to, you know, to win this meeting, to win the cup.
Now, do you think that, you know, you train with the club all year? Do you think, you know, it helps and therefore you're supporting them when you do things like this then, John?
I feel, yeah, you're supporting them, and I wanted to turn out today, you know, in their bid to win today. But from my own personal point of view, if I race against Tony on a track like this or on a dirt track somewhere, I'm still going to give it my all, because obviously we're big rivals, and it wouldn't really matter what's at stake.
I think the fascinating thing for me is that you can come to Stoke like this, Chris, you know, after the Commonwealth trials, and you've still got, you know, almost a national sort of squad turning up to run in the club races. I mean, that must be tough, just lining up in a race like this and knowing you've got a tough race in a club competition.
That's very true. Having joined Blackheath recently, I felt that these competitions would bring me on. As it's turned out, I ran every one of them could have been in its own right a Commonwealth trial.
Yeah, yeah.
With John and
well,
all the other lads turning out.
Yeah, well, having said that, the same guy won again, didn't he? Well done, Tony. And yeah, well, best of luck with the team result anyway, boys. Thanks a lot.
The long jump, Stuart Faulkner still in trouble because he's added a further no jump, so here he comes into the 5th round. The lead still held at 7:47 by John Shepherd. Oh, that's much better. That's a tremendous jump. Great support there from the crowd, because that's the best long jump of the day, I'm quite sure. And there'll be great relief, I'm no doubt, on the Birchfield team management as they see that Stuart Faulkner, very much a banker for them, has taken the lead, and indeed a distance that I don't think is going to be matched by anyone else in the field. Very fine performance indeed by Faulkner. Yes, 7 metres 76. And Faulkner now has jumped more than 26 foot 14 times this year, so he's up amongst the top men in Europe.
So Stuart Faulkner brings Birchfield level with Midlands rivals Wolverhampton and Bilston after 7 events in the Gold Cup. Holders Haringey in 3rd place.
Women's 800 metres. Number 2, Shireen Bailey on the inside of the tall figure. Number 7, Anne Williams, who've improved so much this year to take the UK title and 2nd in the women's 3As. Outside her is the indoor international, number 6, Mary Kitson. And then we've got number 8, Janet Holt of Stretford. And just tucked in 3rd place in the black vest of Birchfield Harriers is Gillian Dainty, former Commonwealth Games silver medalist back in 1982 at 1500 metres, and still running very well indeed. Also in there, number 5 in 4th place for Essex ladies is Sue Bevan. Shireen Bailey still in the lead. Shireen, who have been so pleased after a late start to the season to have made the women's team for the Commonwealth Games at 1500 metres. But Anne Williams, looking so tall and smooth and strong, running really well here. She must be the favourite. Gillian Dainty battling as well. And number 5, Sue Bevan for Essex ladies. And the 2 leading clubs here, of course, in the black vests of Birchfield and Essex. But it's the Sale colours, the green and the red, for Anne Williams, striding away to a clear victory in this 800 metres race. And very close indeed for 2nd place. Dainty just pipping Shireen Bailey. But another really good run for Anne Williams, who's vying with Diane Edwards now for the position of Britain's number 1 at 800 metres. Essex ladies maintaining a strong challenge here with Sue Bevan in 4th place, but Gillian Dainty working really hard for Birchfield. First of all, to try and stay in touch with Anne Williams, doesn't quite manage that, but then to hold off the strong challenge of the Olympian Shireen Bailey of Bromley, and she just does that.
So, Birchfield going well in both the men's and women's events. Last year's top 2, Essex and Stretford, trailing a little at this stage, but with 9 points for a win, that can soon change.
The Derby ladies are back in 6th place, but they'll be hoping for maximum points from Fiona May here in the long jump. 6:52 was her 1st round jump, big lead so far. Main rivals Kim Hagger and Judy Simpson in this event, but that's another really good jump from Fiona, who just 6 weeks ago won the English schools title, but of course is now an experienced international athlete. 6th place in the Olympic Games, 3rd in the European Cup, and a good jump increases her lead. 6 metres 62 for Fiona.
The men's 110 metres hurdles. Haringey bidding for their 4th Gold Cup in a row. Will certainly be expecting maximum points here from the European junior champion, Tony Jarrett, drawn in lane 6. Jarrett predictably off to a good start, nearest to the camera in the green shorts, also going well. His training partner Hugh Teep, always distinctive in that white headband. Steve Buckeridge of Birchfield going well too in lane 2, all in black, but it's Jarrett by the proverbial street. Teep got second, Buckeridge just edged out Tulloch for third place. Well, the 20-year-old who's the world's #1 for his age in this event, the Olympic finalist who's beaten the likes of Roger King and the new world record holder already this season, underlining his tremendous status in the event. An emphatic victory. Teep always good for second place, and Buckeridge getting third. Good points for Harrington.
And the long jump now moved on to the 5th round. Fiona May putting together a really good series with 3 jumps at 6 meters 50 or better. Faced with quite a strong challenge from Kim Hagger. 6:47 so far. But Fiona May in really very good form. She used to have a lot of trouble with her run-up, but she's now getting consistent at that. And she's had a lot of experience this year on the European circuit, competing against the world's best. And this is another very fine jump indeed. She'll be one of the favourites for the Commonwealth. And 6:61 it is, just a centimetre down on the best jump so far, but still in the lead.
Some very busy athletes here today, and Judy Simpson in lane 7 and Wendy Cafferty in lane 8 have had to miss around in the long jump to take their places here in the 100 metres hurdles lineup. Sally Gunnell, United Kingdom record holder, obviously the favourite, lane 2. Kay Morley, the Welsh girl who's beaten her this year, the Cardiff athlete in lane 6. In fact, it's 1 victory each between Morley and Gunnell. Morley, the Welsh record holder in blue there, lane 6, the blonde-haired athlete. Sally Gunnell, who won the women's 3As for the 4th time last week and thereby clinched her place in the English Commonwealth Games team. She is the reigning Commonwealth champion. She's in the black and gold of Essex ladies in lane 2. We've had some great battles this season. Morley, for one stage, thought that she was getting ahead of Gunnell, but Gunnell, the competitor, is coming back, and she's leading here, second from the right, and Gunnell's going to win it again, and Morley a clear runner-up. Gunnell first, Morley second, and the long-legged Judy Simpson, our top heptathlete, or one of them anyway, got through for Birchfield into 3rd place.
Well, Kay Morley was very much Britain's #1 in the early part of the season. She gets off to a good start here in lane 6. But Sally Gunnell is looking sharper with every race. We've seen her in great form at 400-metre hurdles, also now in very good form indeed at 100-metre hurdles. And she shows that she's still Britain's #1 at this event, with Judy Simpson just pipping Louise Fraser for 3rd place. Back on the long jump, Judy Simpson, having passed the 4th round to run that hurdles race. 3rd place, and that's her best jump so far of the competition. Really quite an isolated 3rd in the event. Fiona May and Kim Hagger well clear at the front. Judy Simpson working hard today for Birchfield, getting good points for them in 3rd place. 5 metres 96, her best so far. But Kim Hagger's really putting together a very fine series indeed, getting better throughout the competition as she so often does, and she's not that far behind Fiona May, 6:62 her lead. Kim Hagger really rounding into form very well. Her main target in Auckland will be the heptathlon in the Commonwealth Games, but she'll also be looking forward to do very well in the long jump, a possible medal there. And this is her best, up into 2nd behind Fiona May at 6:53.
Well, Kim and Judy, I mean, great heptathletes. I mean, you must be a godsend to all team managers. I mean, they must want to put you in everything.
Yeah, we certainly always have a busy weekend, and it's nice to have a variety of events.
So how many events have you done so far?
Well, I've done 2 so far, and I've got another run in the 4x4 relay.
So you're doing three events in a day, really?
Yeah, we'd normally do 4, wouldn't we, or something like that.
So it's an easy day for us.
Yeah, it is.
The funny thing is, I don't know, I seem to sense that the women take the sort of the club competitions a little bit more seriously than some of the men.
Yes, I mean, I've been competing for Birchfield since I was 19 years old, and I don't think I would have broken through to the international scene if I hadn't been with a club like Birchfield, because they do take this type of competition seriously. We've got quite a good developmental programme behind us that helps us get lots of new stars.
Right. Is that the same for you, Kim? Do you think the club's important?
It's very encouraging for the young girls. We have a good junior team, and I hope they're the core of our seniors of the future.
Pole vault, Keith Stock battling to stay in the competition. He's already seen his rival for a Commonwealth Games place, Andy Ashurst, clear 5 metres. Keith Stock still the British record holder at 5:65 8 years ago. but he goes out, so that leaves his best at 4.90, but still 7 more valuable points for Haringey.
Now the men's 400 metres. It'll be interesting to see how Steve Hurd in lane 4 runs here for Wolverhampton and Bilston. Former winner of the United Kingdom title, but moved up to 800 metres a couple of seasons ago. We're looking here at Steve Hawkins in lane 1, the Enfield man, who actually earlier today became the first British athlete to beat Max Robertson in the 400 metres hurdle. So he's had a good day, regardless of what happens here. Hurd, as I was saying, moved up to 800 metres, just missed out on an Olympic place in 1988, and also missed out on a Commonwealth place this time. Going well there, second from the left in the bright green shorts of Haringey is Gary Cadogan, runner-up in the 3A's Indoor Championships this year. And in the middle lane, Kermit Bentham of Thames Valley Harriers. Steve Hurd up there with them as well. He might be short of 400 metre speed this year, having been concentrating on the longer race. But he's certainly not out of contention here. Gary Cadogan, who made the best start, maintains his lead. And the 22-year-old Haringey runner being pressed on the inside by Bentham, and also on lane 1 there by Hawkins, who's running superbly well again here, the 400 metre hurdler. Cadogan really having to dig in to hold on to his lead. Hawkins holding on for second place, or did he? Yes, he just beat Kermit Bentham in a good, exciting finish there. And more maximum points for Haringey, now well on the way to their dream of a 4th successive cup win.
Yes, particularly because Birchfield only gained 4 points here. Alan Humphreys coming in 5th. At this stage of the race, both Gary Cadogan and Kermit Bentham were very well clear of Steve Hurd of Wolverhampton and Steve Hawkins of Enfield. But those are two very strong men, and they make a very determined bid at the end. Steve Hawkins in particular running very strongly indeed to come through on the inside lane to take second place. Cadogan, though, holds on to win as Bentham fades, but still just ahead of Hurd.
Haringey on top at the halfway point in the Gold Cup, ahead of Wolverhampton and Birchfield, the others in danger of losing touch.
Now, on the pole vault, Andy Ashurst has the competition won, 5 metres, 5.10, slightly odd height of 5.22. It's a personal best using his training poles, he explained. 15 foot 9 inches long, slightly shorter than his main competition poles, and another very fine clearance indeed, and he is absolutely delighted because 5.27 is a centimetre ahead of Mike Edwards' 5.26, the previous best height cleared by a British pole vaulter this year. Well, Ashurst was only 9th in the 3A's at 4 metres 80, and thereby not getting an automatic place in England's Commonwealth Games team. Particularly pleased to go, of course, because he's the reigning champion, and particularly pleased to do well because he trains here at Stoke under Dave Young, the stadium manager.
So today you've jumped 5.27, so that means, I think, that you'll get the 3rd spot in the Commonwealth placing, so you must be pleased, eh?
Well, hopefully, yes. Jumped 1 centimetre higher than Mike Edwards, who represented us in the European Cup. I just wanted to make sure that I was highest in the rankings.
Well, and also I think it goes without saying that you actually won the competition.
Well, I think, well, quite comfortably in the end. But the conditions weren't brilliant, so and there was a few, you know, the top people weren't really competing. So.
But the fact is that you still jumped the right height, and you must be pleased that you got the 3rd spot. So congratulations are in order.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Yeah, well done, Andy.
All right, cheers.
So Andy Ashurst happy with his Commonwealth prospects, and also with a maximum 9 points for sale. We'll be back after this break.
Welcome back to the GRE Jubilee Cup race at 1,500 metres with 2 women well clear of the field. Number 5, Nikki Morris of Essex Ladies, and number 7, Anne Williams of Sale Harriers. Anne, who's doubling up both the 800 and the 1,500. As too is Gillian Dainty back in 3rd place, and Janet Holt of Stretford back in 4th. But at the bell, Nikki Morris, looking very determined indeed, has a precious couple of metres ahead of Anne Williams, and then there's a big gap ahead of Dainty of Birchfield. So Nikki Morris looking to get maximum points here for Essex, and indeed she's stretching away from Williams, who must be a little tired, having won that 800 metres before, and isn't really seeking to give chase, I think, to Morris. Morris, who won the European Indoor Silver Medal at 3,000 metres, was 4th in that distance at the Women's 3A's, but is also a more than useful 1500-metre runner, much the fastest of the current runners on present form, personal best of 4:11 this year. So Nicky Morris now opening up quite a long lead, about 10 metres back, but Williams is very clear indeed in second place from Sale, Harriers there, and Gillian Dainty looks okay in third place to get good points for Birchfield. Coming to the home straight then, Nicky Morris, coached by Harry Wilson, who's improved so much over the last couple of years. Changed from Hertford and Ware to join Essex Ladies a couple of years ago, and they'll obviously be very pleased indeed with her win here. A good win indeed, with Anne Williams in second. And those two are very long way clear of the rest of the field. Anne Williams, though, very pleased with a first and second. Gillian Dainty got third for Birchfield, and Janet Holt was fourth for Stretford. Really good win then for Essex Ladies in the form of Nicky Morris.
And Essex Ladies needed that win to stay in touch with Birchfield after 11 events. Northern rivals Sale and Stretford vying for that third spot.
Here's a familiar figure, Dalton Grant in the high jump. He's got the competition won, having cleared 2:20. No one else managed that height. 2:25, no problem for him. So Dalton Grant wins the high jump for Haringey. Dalton in really magnificent form this year. The whole series of British records behind him. This time it was almost a matter of routine, but nonetheless, that's just what his team manager wanted.
A lively finish in prospect here in this men's 1500 metres. They're just coming up to 2 laps to go. In the lead, wearing number 8, Adrian Callum, but on his shoulder there, number 2, the experienced Birchfield Harrier, Rob Harrison, former Liverpool Harrier. Been running for Birchfield for the last 2 or 3 years and has done a marvellous job for them indeed. He's team captain, and Harrison determined to lead his team to a league and cup double. They've already won the top division of the British Athletics League. Callan in the lead then, Harrison second, then Richard McDonnell of Haringey running in third place. Haringey, of course, have got the services of Sebastian Coe for some meetings during the year. But Coe, as we were saying in the 800 metres, absent from this meeting as he concentrates on loftier matters in the European world. McDonnell doing a very good job, I'm sure, in his absence. The former United Kingdom champion, McDonnell, so he's no slouch himself. This time round, it's the bell then. Adrian Callan of Wolverhampton and Bilston, who's a Scottish international, in the lead. On his shoulder, number 2, Rob Harrison, all in black, the Birchfield man, then Richard McDonnell of Haringey in third. In the blue hoops and the otherwise black vest of Thames Valley Harriers, Nick Fellows. Well, Harrison will be fancying his chances here of kicking hard off the final bend, I would think. Been around a long time, Rob Harrison, and been a very good runner as well, but like so many in Great Britain, has been overshadowed by our greats at 1500 metres and a mile. Just missed out on a medal in the last Commonwealth Games where he was 4th in Edinburgh. Also coming up now is Nick Fellows, number 7 there. So Harrison is not going to have it his own way by any means. And McDonnell not out of contention, the Haringey man in the green shorts. Harrison knows they're gathering now, and certainly the strongest challenge looks to be coming from Nick Fellows, although as Harrison kicked in again, Fellows was unable to respond. Harrison in the lead then, 50 metres to go. McDonnell is second. The chase is on for the third place, really, because first and second are well clear of the rest. Harrison wins it, McDonnell second, and a very late finish by Blackheath's David Heath got him third place and some useful points for his team. But Rob Harrison, the captain of Birchfield, does as you would expect of the captain and brings them a maximum 9 points in the 1500 metres. He needed to, really. He'd have got some fearful stick from his teammates if he hadn't have won that, Peter.
He certainly would, but he ran a very assured and accomplished race here. He just kicked away just at the right time. He'd stayed on the shoulders of the leader all the way, and he's got the sort of sprint which no one can match. MacDonald doing the best he can. Dave Heath of Blackheath, who will be off to the World Student Games to represent Britain, got himself in a little bit of trouble there. Had to go round 2 men, but did well enough to come through for third place. But Harrison did the job.
Well, Rob, you're the team captain, and Peter Matthews, our man in the know, says that you're 4 points behind Haringey with 65. and you always do well in the relay, so that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Well, we've got a clean sweep in the league on the 4x4 relay, and we've done really well on the 4x1, so we know we're going to pick up some points there. We have got a few dodgy events to come in. The javelin we usually suffer in, but we'd like to do the double today. We've won the league quite convincingly, but I'm sure Harringay even more so want to get one back on us.
That's right. Well, I mean, it's looking good, and your winning the 1500 metres must have sort of spurred them on a bit, do you think?
Well, as captain, you've got to try and set an example, haven't you?
Yeah, to the young bucks.
That's it, us old fellas, you know. So, yes, it was good, important for me to get a win under my belt today.
And I'd just like to emphasise, I mean, you've got a big race coming up tomorrow, yet you're still running here today for your club, so it shows, you know, that you're dedicated to your club, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've run all the leagues this year and the cup final. I love running for the club. The club stood by me when I was injured, gave me races when I needed them, and I'm back here today doing my bit for the club. And when you look at the crowd and the athletes who are here, it makes you realise what good standard club athletics can be.
Harringay may be in the lead, but obviously they need all the support they can get. Don't think too many of these are in the Boy Scouts, do you? Certainly not Mickey Morris there, the team captain. That string just isn't long enough, is it? Sorry, lads. Looks like that banner's going to have to stay down.
Included in the lineup for the women's 200 metres, two of our leading international athletes, Paula Dunn of Stretford in lane 2 and Sally Gunnell of Essex Ladies in lane 4. They've both already won the events. Paula Dunn over 100 metres, Sally Gunnell over 100 metres hurdles. Obviously, Paula will be favoured here, but Sally Gunnell is a very good flat runner as well as a hurdler, and she's really pressurising Paula Dunn here, and Gunnell right in the middle of the picture in black is going to push the top sprinter all the way to the line and might even snatch it here. And Dunn just holds on to win it. But what a race she was given there by Sally Gunnell. She could afford to smile. She's got maximum points now in both the sprints, but couldn't have expected the challenge from Gunnell to have been as strong as it was. Clover Court incidentally got 3rd place, but that was some race.
It just shows that Sally Gunnell is now a really world-class athlete with the ability to run at different events than her major one, because to push Dunn as hard as this was a supreme effort. These two a long way clear of the field, but Birchfield Harriers will be pleased to see that Clover Court, running here on the nearest to the camera, does come through well to take 3rd place ahead of Helen Miles of Cardiff. But Paula Dunn just holding off Sally Gunnell there at the finish.
How many events are you actually going to end up doing today?
I'm down to do 4, so I'm halfway through and I've got 2 more relays to go.
So what have you done?
I've done the 100 hurdles, the 2 flat, and then both the relays.
So after that you get Show Off of the Day award, do you?
Yeah, probably. I'll end up in hospital, something like that.
But I mean, it is important though, isn't it, that you get as many points as you can for your club?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't done that many club events this year, so I think that this is the most important one of the year, so I should come out and do it for them. So I'm here.
That's right, so you jetted back from Zurich.
Yeah, I got back on Thursday and then drove straight back up here.
And of course you had a great preparation yesterday. What did you do?
I went to Walton Towers.
As all international athletes do.
I thought it was a relaxing day, so I had a bit of fun there.
Yeah, that's right. And then today you actually run Paula Dunn quite close in the 2 as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't expect to do that because she's running really well this year, and it's like first 2 I'd done and I was pretty tired, but I was really pleased with that.
So 2 down, 2 to go.
Yep.
Good luck, Sal.
Thank you.
We're back to the men's Gold Cup and the field for the 200 metres, and it really provides one of the most outstanding lineups of the day, with most of the action expected to come from those middle lanes. Tony Jarrett, already winner of the 110 metres hurdles. Phil Brown, the 3A's champion over 400 metres. Next to him in lane 6, the United Kingdom and 3A's champion over 200 metres, Belgrave's Marcus Adam. Well, Marcus Adam, obviously the favourite on paper here, but he's had a long and tiring season. He's been running an awful lot lately, and Jarrett in the middle there made a magnificent start. The 20-year-old European Junior Hurdles champion is leading Marcus Adam here, and this could be a real upset. Phil Brown going well between them. Jarrett in the lead, Adam coming on strong now, and Adam just got it on the line. Jarrett second, and Phil Brown held on for 3rd. But Marcus Adam really had to dig deep into his resources then to hold off a man he wouldn't have wanted to lose to. That would have really damaged his pride. And it just shows you what a marvellous sprinter Tony Jarrett is.
It certainly does, and he's shown that when he's run the opening legs for Britain in sprint relays this year. He's not only a world-class hurdler, he's also a very, very good sprinter indeed. The time isn't that quick, 21:29, but I think the point is that they're running again into a very strong wind round the bend, and Adam had to really work here to just pip Jarrett on the line. And both of them were a very long way clear of Birchfield's Phil Brown.
Haringey beginning to pull away now, and on course for yet another cup win. Wolves and Birchfield need a lot of points, and soon, if they're going to close the gap.
But Haringey will be looking for a lot of points from Mark Robeson, very much the favourite in the javelin, third in the 3As. And a good throw, well beyond 70 metres, so that takes him into a clear lead ahead of Enfield's Royal Bradstock.
They're in the final lap of the men's 5,000 metres. In the lead, Gary Horn of Sale, but right on his shoulder, and indeed coming up to him now, Oliver Foote of Belgrave Harriers. In third place is Kevin Lamb in the white vest and red shorts of Wolverhampton and Bilston. And incidentally, Steve Harris is back in 6th place at the moment, having already, about 3 hours ago, completed the 10,000 metres. So he'll be getting valuable points for Haringey, but certainly will have no impact on the leadership here, as Gary Horn leads them into the final bend. Foot won't be dropped here, the Belgrave man, and coming very hard on the outside is Darren Pemberton of Birchfield. Birchfield really needing the points to challenge Haringey here. Now, can he overtake Horn? 30 metres to the line, and I think Horn has got it, but a fine finish by Pemberton. Horn wins it then, Pemberton second, Lamb was third, and Foot of Belgrave fourth, and Steve Harris, just counting back, will come home in 6th place. So that's a very hard and tiring, but ultimately satisfying day for Steve Harris.
So Steve Harris survives, and he's contributed 9 points to Haringey's cause. The crowd waits to find out who'll win the Golden Jubilee Cups. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Cup final, where Haringey are well in the lead from the Midland clubs Birchfield and Wolverhampton, but going remarkably well at 3rd Division Enfield, and there'll be more good points for them from this man, Roald Bradstock, in the javelin. Good series, 3 throws over 74 metres, and he's a clear second behind the 76.44 of Mark Robeson of Haringey. Robeson, who was third at the 3As, Bradstock was only 6th then, but that's a good throw and must be getting very close indeed to Robeson's lead. Yes, it is, 76.24.
So we reach the penultimate track event of the day in the Men's Gold Cup, the 4x100 metres, with things looking very good indeed for Haringey. Drawn here in lane 8 and defending a formidable record. They have never lost a 4x100 metres in any of the previous cup finals that they've appeared in. Justifiably proud of their tradition. They'll be pushed all the way here, though, by Belgrave, with Marcus Adam, John Regis, Lenny Paul and Adrian Carter. What a powerful team they've got. So if Haringey can maintain their tradition and win this, surely they will go on to win the cup itself. And a good start made by Darren Braithwaite, extreme left-hand side of the picture. Thames Valley Harriers missing Linford Christie, who was appearing in Berlin last night and hasn't made it here for the final. Also going well. John Regis now running the second leg for Belgrave Harriers, and a good one it is too. But Haringey possibly just in the lead, but Belgrave are going to be very close to them at the third change over here. Tony Jarrett the second leg for Haringey. Now Mensah takes over the third. Oh, and a terrible mix-up there between Lenny Paul and Carter for Belgrave. That's them out of the picture now, and Haringey storm through to win it. Thames Valley Harriers second and Blackheath third. And that surely will be enough for Haringey. It's not certain yet, but it's almost certain. And Phil Green, the manager of the Haringey team, understandably delighted. But look at that messy changeover between Lenny Paul and Adrian Carter outside the zone, and that will almost certainly get Belgrave disqualified. It cost them the lead, it cost them possible victory. Haringey, with that ankle leg specialist Clarence Callender storming on here, went on to win it.
Final round of the javelin now. Roald Bradstock just 20 centimetres short of Mark Robeson's leading throw. So that's his target, 76.44. A little bit below his best this year, a former Commonwealth record holder, but that's a good throw indeed for Roald Bradstock. And he may have missed out on Commonwealth selection this time, twice an Olympian, but he'll obviously be wanting to show that he can still vie with the best of them, and indeed he does, and that throw is taken him to win the competition ahead of Robeson. It's 76.72. Bradstock obviously absolutely delighted.
Well, Haringey's 7 points in the javelin means that they now can't be caught with one event to go in the Gold Cup.
But what a very different picture it is in the Women's Jubilee Cup as we reach the 4x100 metres in that competition. Very close indeed. Birchfield leading Essex ladies by 5.5 points, but Essex have a strong lineup here in this 4x100 metres. Sally Gunnell, Jenny Stout, Kim Hagger and Lisa GRE. Essex ladies running in lane 8. Birchfield on the inside in lane 1, so they won't really know what each other's doing here. Stretford also have a very strong team in the middle lane in lane 5. She brings the ankle leg for them. Sandra Douglas has taken over now and they're going well. But Essex ladies also in a good position. Jenny Stout with the baton now, and she hands on to Kim Hagger. Essex ladies pushing hard here. Remember, they've really got to try their level best in these final events to try and reduce the gap on Birchfield. And they're in a good position here, though it looks as though Stretford in the middle have the lead. Paula Dunn running the ankle leg for them, and Stretford running away with it. But Essex running well here will take second place. A good finish too by the Welsh club Cardiff, and they come in third. So it's Stretford the winners, Essex second, and Cardiff third. What a good day it's been for Paula Dunn. Individual victories in 100 and 200 metres, and now anchoring the relay team home.
Very fine running indeed. Fine running also from the very talented Essex ladies squad, who come in here second, just ahead of Cardiff, and a long way gap, but importantly only 2 places behind Essex are Birchfield.
So Essex close the gap on Birchfield to 3.5 points as we go into the final event. Holders Stretford now out of contention.
So what a situation here in the final event in the Women's Jubilee Cup, the 4x400 metres relay. Who could have imagined such an exciting finish? Birchfield, in their 14th appearance in the final, must get within 2 places in this race of Essex ladies to win. Remember, Birchfield, for all those appearances in the final, have never won. They've been second on 3 occasions, but never carried off the trophy. What a situation they face here. They know that Essex ladies have got a strong team. Jenny Jordan, who set a personal best in the individual 400 earlier in the meeting, running the first leg for them here. Then Sue Bevan, then Sally Gunnell and Jenny Stout on the last 2 legs. Stretford also with a strong team here, but as you've heard, they're out of contention for what would have been another cup win for them. Stretford nearest to the camera in lane 8. Sheila Peake running the first leg for them. But the action coming in those middle lanes that's going to decide the destination of the cup. Birchfield Harriers in lane 4. Essex ladies in lane 5. And very, very close between the 2 big contenders at the end of that first leg. One more bend and then they break from their lanes.
And a fair run there for Jenny Jordan. I've clocked her in 56.4 for Essex ladies as she hands over to Sue Bevan. And it's Judy Simpson running for Birchfield. Yvette Luca for Stretford.
Now remember, even if Essex ladies win this, as long as Birchfield Harriers are within 2 places of them when they cross the line, then Birchfield will have their first ever cup victory. And Judy Simpson, who's had a very, very busy day for them already, doing her utmost here to keep them right up there in contention for that trophy. Fine run by Simpson. But she's bound to tire in the home straight. Essex ladies, Sue Bevan right behind her, and Sally Gunnell still to come, and inevitably Judy Simpson just hasn't got it here in the home straight. She's done so much already to help her team today. That's not surprising. It's been a very, very hard run for her, and Stretford also right up there now in the lead.
There's a fine run there for Yvette Luca, handing over to Sandra Douglas. Then Sue Bevan, who I timed in 55.9, handed over to Sally Gunnell. But it was a very important run and a very fine one also for Judy Simpson.
One that certainly has had its effect. Now she's got to sit back, hardly relaxed, but she's got to sit back and wonder what will happen here. Sally Gunnell running the 3rd leg for Essex ladies. Stretford are in 2nd place, Birchfield are 3rd, and if they stay 3rd, regardless of what could be a victory for Essex ladies in this race, Birchfield will carry off the trophy. That's how close it is now, coming into the 4th and final leg of the final event of the day. What a finish here. Terrific leg by Sally Gunnell, Sandra Douglas running for Stretford, and a clover court for Birchfield as they hand on to the final anchor leg. Jenny Stout running now for Essex Ladies. Louise Fraser for Stretford in second place. Lorraine Hanson for Birchfield still in third.
And Sally Gunnell ran a very fine leg indeed to complete her afternoon's work, 52.8. And of course, Jenny Stout, also one of Britain's team. So Essex Ladies are short of victory, and in fact, looking as if they might take the British club record, which stands at 3:38 to Wolverhampton and Bilston 14 years ago. But Birchfield now running very well indeed.
Hanson has come up into second place, and that will be enough. Even if Jenny Stout goes on to win this, and I can't see any other outcome here, then if Birchfield hold on to second and their team know it, then that is going to be enough to give them the cup. And they're really roaring Hanson on the final few metres. A fine run by Jenny Stout, and it's going to be a smashing time as well. Essex Ladies win the race, but crucially, Birchfield are in the first three, and that means victory and the Jubilee Cup for Birchfield Harriers. So the celebrations start, and I'm sure they'll go on long into the night. A new club record for Essex Ladies, but no consolation. They've lost the cup.
Well, you've won by half a point.
Oh no. You think after all that running they would have given us a few more?
and apparently that's usually come, what is it, second 3 years?
Yeah,
That's the first time you've won?
We got very sick of being the bridesmaids.
Well, all I can say is congratulations, especially to the team manager.
Yeah.
Well done, team coach, but congratulations, girls.
I would like to say a big thank you to all our team, because this is only the 4x4 girls, but there are a lot of other people who competed earlier in the day that did personal best. Thanks a lot.
Well done.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Wherever it is, we're coming.
The bubbly will flow. So Birchfield do it at last. Jubilee Cup winners after 3 second places. But spare a thought for Essex Ladies. Last year they lost by a single point. This year by just half a point. Well, the Birchfield girls know how to celebrate a win. Team manager Pauline Hadley makes the long journey to the inevitable ducking in the water jump. Ooh, oh well, it's been a long, hot, sticky day, and I'm sure that will cool her down.
So Birchfield's celebrations have already started, but as we reach the final event in the men's Gold Cup, the 4x400 metres relay, Haringey, well, they have to keep the champagne on ice for just a few moments longer. But they know that victory is theirs, and a fourth successive Gold Cup is a certainty, no matter what happens here. Still, everybody running on pride, and this man, Derek Redmond, running with something to prove. He's had a dreadful year, injuries which prevented him running in the Olympic Games in Seoul, another injury again this season. Redmond will be running the third leg for Birchfield Harriers here. Birchfield in lane 1, who now know that they can't catch Haringey. Even if Haringey were to drop the baton and get disqualified, they would go on to win here. But pride is an important thing. They'll want to win the final event as well. Birchfield right of the picture in lane 1. Wolverhampton and Bilston made a good start there. Extreme left in the white vests in lane 8. And then Haringey in that fluorescent kit right in the middle in lane 5. Haringey, remember, have won the last 3 Gold Cup finals and 6 wins in 8 years before today. Britain's European Cup representatives, the mighty North London club, who really have been the premier force in British club athletics now for so many years. And on their way to proving it again here.
Certainly Birchfield working up a good lead here. Steve Thomas, the lead-off man, handed over to Alan Humphreys, and it's the fairhead Humphreys who's well in the lead on the outside. Wolverhampton and Bilston. Trevor Mackenzie runs for them in the second leg.
Lawrence Lynch running the second leg for Haringey. Birchfield with a strong team here and the lead, but remember, Haringey are well on their way now to victory. They've just really got to get round here. But their big support and the whole of their team will want to see them really running eyeballs out as well in this final event. They do love a rousing finish, the Haringey team. But Birchfield with a commanding lead here. Clarence Callender ready to take the baton for Haringey, clear in second place. And Derek Redmond now sets off. That injury he had up at Edinburgh earlier in the season, I remember him. I've never seen him so disconsolate. The United Kingdom record holder for 400 metres and a World Championship and Olympic representative, saying he almost felt like packing the sport in. Well, I'm sure we're all delighted to see that Derek has put those thoughts out of his head. And even though this may be a small stage compared to those he's performed on in years gone by, it's an encouraging little step back towards representing his country and his nation again. And Derek, being urged on by his Birchfield teammates, has maintained their big lead over Haringey. And he will hand on to that great relay specialist, Phil Brown, for the final leg. Gary Cadogan takes over for Haringey in second.
And I timed Derek Redmond in 47 seconds. Not especially fast, but he wasn't challenged. And the main thing, it's good to see him get round cleanly.
Indeed it was. And Phil Brown's another who's known injury problems over the years. Marvellous to see him winning the 3A's Championships, the Commonwealth Games trial, and booking his place in Auckland. And here he will just guide Birchfield over the line to victory, I'm sure. Gary Cadogan putting in a spirited effort back in second place for Haringey. So Birchfield are going to have the satisfaction of finishing the day with a victory in the 4x400 metres. And Phil Brown, who has graced so many of these occasions, crosses the line first once again. Gary Cadogan second for Haringey. Birchfield win that race, but remember, it matters not, because victory, and Phil Brown knows it only too well, has gone once again to Haringey in the Gold Cup.
So, as Alan said, Birchfield's win can't affect the final result. Haringey's winning margin a massive 21 points. Haringey only won 4 events, one fewer than Birchfield, but more importantly, they came second in another 7.
Haringey won it 4 years in succession. And that's what, 4 out of 7, isn't it?
7 wins, 4 seconds in 11 years.
6 versions. And apparently it's tradition that you always throw the team manager in the water, isn't it?
Yeah!
Of course it is.
But first, we've got to have our team song. No, we don't.
Let's hear the rap.
I don't know, but it's been said. Haringey are just the best. Stand up. Haringey. Stand up. Haringey.
Dear me, well, stick to what you do best, lads, eh? Well, after the singing, dancing and duckings comes the formal presentation. And first to Birchfield, Jubilee Cup winners for the first time after finishing runners-up on 3 separate occasions. But it couldn't have been closer. Well done, girls. And I hope Judy Simpson there doesn't have too much of a hangover the next day. Haringey, well, they were untouchable, really. They lost their league title to Birchfield this year, but there was no way they were going to give up the Gold Cup. They've come to regard that as their personal property. 7 wins in 9 years. Amazing. So team captain and, I suppose, band leader Mickey Morris gets his hands on the trophy yet again. I knew that banner would get up in the end. Bit cheeky, though, making the other teams hold it for them. Well, that closes our coverage of the Cup final. Join us tomorrow for the Kodak Classic at 2 o'clock on ITV. Meanwhile, our congratulations to Birchfield and Haringey.